Good Wednesday evening, everyone. On this January 22nd, 2025, we have serious weather pattern changes coming towards the end of January into early February. There is the potential we could have multiple snowstorms across the Pacific Northwest, moving into the northern plains, and then over the Great Lakes and the Northeast. So, to start off the video, here's a look at the very latest European model for this afternoon on your Wednesday, the 22nd of January. And as we look at this forecast, you can see there is a little bit of snow over the Great Lakes, part of that lake effect snow, and then we have a little bit of snow moving across the northern tier, but that's nothing compared to with what is going to be happening towards the middle and the end of next week. So let's put this into motion over the next several days through the weekend. Looks to be pretty good. If you go barbecuing, it's not going to be bad at all. It's going to be great to enjoy your friends and family outside, walk the dog, although it's going to be cold across the Great Lakes. Nothing big at all. Now, this is where we get into some concerns. We have a cutoff flow over California, over the desert Southwest. We have another system down here in Texas. And sometimes when these systems go this way, they could become very snowy. We could have a big nor'easter coming. But fortunately, that system is not going to do much because we have another area of low pressure that is going to drop down into the south, or moves southeast into the northeast here of New England, and that's going to suppress anything that tries to form up here in the eastern seaboard and the mid-Atlantic. And instead, we have another cold storm system coming with more snowfall for the northeast. But after that, we have another storm that tries to clip the area. You can see here another little snowstorm for the northeast, and then maybe something bigger for the Midwest. We'll see. That is far out in time here on the 29th of January. And then maybe another snowstorm after that for Friday the 31st of January. So this is almost about 10 days out. And so while there isn't anything big going on here, we will have to watch the models, especially when you have something that comes from the deep south here and then something that approaches the Pacific Northwest and it tries to nosedive into the Midwest. Things could get ugly very quickly. We could be looking at another extreme winter storm potentially. We'll see about that. And then by the time we go beyond the 10-day forecast, that's when things get very interesting. Two big snowmageddon storms. Now, another concerning aspect to the forecast will be the much colder temperatures that will reside across the deep south, the mid-Atlantic, and the southeast, but only for the short term. And then things are going to warm up big time before they come back down again. So here's a look at the European model again with those temperature anomalies. And yes, going to be cold for the next few days, and then here comes that warm up slowly. It's going to be a slow process, but we are going to see a warm up coming up for the weekend into early next week, because look at the cold Arctic air is going to be modified and it's going to go back to the north where it belongs. And then after that, we're going to see probably another cold blast coming in out of Alberta, Canada, also from even Saskatchewan by the very end of the forecast. Look at how strong this is. This could be another extreme Arctic air mass coming. Now, looking at the jet stream forecast over the next 10 plus days here, the reason why the pattern is not going to be really active in the short term is because we have all this colder air. It's dry out there. There's not a whole lot of moisture to kick up into the atmosphere. Even so, we have these troughs that are going to increase the lift. It's be just too dry for anything out there for the short term. But as we get into the weekend and early next week, that's when we'll have enough moisture coming off the Gulf of Mexico, and we could have another big storm developing, especially if this cutoff flow over California moves into the wrong position and moves into the high plains. We could have one of the strongest storms of the winter season potentially. But the good news of that is it's going to remain pretty much cut off from the overall flow, and it doesn't look like it's going to produce anything significantly. And if it does try to, this northwesterly flow will keep things on the suppressive side. So good news there as far as the jet stream forecast goes. And then going forward, then we'll have to watch this little weather system right here in the deep south for a severe weather event potentially by the first day of February, but that is way too far out. This is 10 days out in fantasy land, and we all know what can change in a matter of, say, a day between model runs. For an example, if we look at last night's run, it didn't show anything there, versus this run, it shows a big, nasty, little swirly little system for the deep south that increases the severe weather threat with this northwesterly flow behind it, advecting colder air out of the north, and then another polar vortex wants to drop into the northern United States by the time we go into the 4th and the 5th of February. But again, really far out. Let's not start freaking out over this just yet, but it is something to consider since it has been on the models for a while now. For the risk for multiple snowstorms, much colder air coming back into the forecast by late January and early February, and that could trigger more southern snowstorms or even in the Midwest and the Northeast. Now, from the Climate Prediction Center standpoint, they are also showing there's going to be a little bit of a warm-up here for the Deep South and also for the Northern Plains and the Midwest, which is nice to see after extreme record-setting Arctic temperatures. There's going to be still some colder air for the Northeast, and then for the desert Southwest, there's also going to be a cool down coming because of that cutoff low, and then also for the Pacific Northwest. But this continues also into the 8 to 14 day forecast where we're seeing a big warm up coming, but we'll keep an eye on the models because things could change without warning. It is showing some big nasty Arctic outbreaks for the north and also perhaps for the western U.S., but not much going on for the desert or for the southeast or the mid-Atlantic as far as their temperatures go. It's going to be slightly above normal. And then when looking at our 6 to 10 day precipitation forecast for the deep south, it is looking wet. And again, if we get any colder air coming in out of the north that looks significant enough, we could get some big time snowstorms and ice storms for the Midwest, for the eastern sea, for the mid-Atlantic and for the northeast. But again, far out enough, and depending on how much colder air filters in with these weather systems. Now, when looking at the 8 to 14 day forecast, it is also trending wetter and stormier for the deep south, for the Great Lakes, and also for the Pacific Northwest, with California still looking at below average chances of rainfall. Man, it's been a while since we've had any rainfall here, and it looks like it is going to remain really dry for the next 2 to 3 weeks. But anyways, if you found this video really helpful, detailed, and informative, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel right now. If you did enjoy the video, hit the bell icon, share this video with your family and friends on social media, give this video a huge thumbs up, and most importantly, be sure you check out our Discord server at WeatherForce. There will be a link in the description below this video. We just opened up the server yesterday and everybody likes it, so be sure to join today if you're interested.